Coming up, investigators are looking for a motive after a shooting at a Fargo restaurant leaves a mother and her child critically injured. A leader emerges in the fundraising effort in the race for Fargo mayor. And a look at the surprising result of a new study on guns and violent crimes. Hello and welcome to the Nightly Review. I'm Tom Tucker. We begin with a look at tonight's headlines, then a closer look, with reaction tonight from the recently endorsed Republican candidate for governor in the state of Minnesota. Dr. Scott Jensen is talking about having the party officially behind him and commenting on one of his top priorities if elected. And in tonight's one-on-one, a conversation about guns and violent crime. A new study comes to a conclusion which is taking many people by surprise. But first tonight, a 21-year-old mother and her 8-month-old son remain in critical but stable condition at Sanford Medical Center after they were both shot yesterday afternoon at Plaza Azteca Mexican restaurant in South Fargo. The gunman, 24-year-old Moorhead resident Malik Lamar Gill, was later found in Clay County, where investigators say he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Gill was reportedly in a relationship with the mother. The motive for the shooting is not clear. No one else was injured. Meanwhile, the owners of Plaza Azteca announced they'll reopen Friday. The restaurant posted the message to their Facebook page today. It reads, quote, "We will be opening back on Friday. We would like to take a day off for the victims and for our employees after this unfortunate incident. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and anyone affected by this. Thank you all for your understanding and all your support." We now know the cause of a fire that ripped through a South Fargo apartment complex last week at 605 11th Street South. Firefighters say improperly discarded cigarettes caused the fire last Wednesday that displaced more than 24 people. Damage from the fire is estimated at $350,000. No one was hurt. Well, some drivers in the FM Metro say gas they're purchasing at area holiday stations contains water. Joe DeVito, owner of the repair shop DeVito Racing Compound in Fargo, says he knows of 6 cases where water was found in engines. DeVito says cases he knows of involve drivers who filled their tanks with 91 octane. Performance issues they experienced include engine stalls while out on the road. Holiday has not responded to my request for comment. Shannon Roers Jones dwarfs the other candidates in the fundraising in the race for Fargo mayor. Roers Jones, who's up against 5 other mayoral candidates, has raised almost $121,000. The information comes from a campaign finance disclosure statement that was due from all candidates by last Friday. The next 2 closest fundraisers in the mayoral race are Hakun Dabar with about $32,000, and incumbent Mayor Tim Mahoney has raised about $29,500. Well, the Fargo Marathon returns to city streets this weekend. Last year's race was postponed because of COVID-19, and 2 years ago the race was canceled altogether because of the virus. This year's race days include a 5K run tonight, and on Saturday, competitions include a 26.2-mile marathon and a 13.1-mile half marathon. The marathon course is a qualifier for the Boston Marathon. A policy fellow at the Center of the American Experiment is explaining the purpose of an upcoming tour coming to North Dakota called CRT and the Miseducation of America's Youth.
The purpose of our tour is to say that here's what you should be aware of, here's some ways to get involved in your child's education, here's how you can encourage school leaders to continue to stand strong against pressure to incorporate such divisive ideas into the classroom.
Katrin Wegfall appeared on What's on Your Mind on AM 1100 The Flag. The presentation on CRT by the Center of the American Experiment is set for May 24th at 12 noon at the Wahpeton Community Center. I'm told presentations are also planned for the FM Metro. Governor Burgum signed a bill banning CRT in the state's public schools last November. No injuries reported after a gun was discharged inside a mall in Grand Forks Wednesday night. Officers were called to the Grand Cities Mall for a report of a gunshot. An employee at Brothers Firearms told officers he was showing a rifle to a customer when the rifle accidentally discharged. The bullet went through the store, across the hallway, and entered another business. The employee was cited for discharge of a firearm within city limits. The city of Grand Forks has reached its goal of raising $250,000 to build a memorial honoring fallen law enforcement officers. The fundraising effort began in 2020. The memorial will be in Optimist Park, and the statue has already been ordered. Officials hope the preparations of the grounds and installation of the statue will be completed by the end of September. The chairman of North Dakota's Democratic Party is criticizing Governor Doug Burgum's recent donations to a political group targeting GOP races. Patrick Hart has accused Burgum of trying to, quote, buy his own government. Burgum, a wealthy former software executive, has given $930,000 to the Dakota Leadership PAC through his campaign. Burgum's campaign has not commented on Hart's statement. In a closer look tonight, the Minnesota gubernatorial candidate officially endorsed by the Republican Party, Dr. Scott Jensen, is talking about last weekend's endorsing convention, which for him and others was tense.
Yeah, it was a true emotional roller coaster, to say the least. And I'm glad with the way it came out, but if someone had asked me how I thought things would play out, that's not what I would have said.
Jensen, who appeared on What's on Your Mind on AM 1100 The Flag, spoke highly of his fellow Republicans who also sought the party's endorsement, saying people across Minnesota were, quote, impressed with how strong the field was. Jensen says one of his top priorities is election integrity.
Let's get elected, and then let's go in and let's absolutely lead in regards to getting secure elections. Let's do what 46 out of 47 countries in Europe do and have photo ID. Let's not quibble and bicker. Let's make it easy to vote but hard to cheat.
Dr. Jensen says anyone caught cheating in the election should spend time in jail. He's poised to go head-to-head with incumbent Governor Tim Walz in the upcoming November election. The latest poll from KSTP shows Walz leading Jensen 44% to 39%. Well, if you find the Nightly Review to be a good source for news and information in the FM Metro, please be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button below to make sure you're always up to date. Weather-wise, clouds are rolling across the region and temperatures are dropping. Let's get a look at the forecast now from meteorologist Justin Storm in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Thanks, Tom. Throughout the rest of this evening, we'll see some scattered rain showers pushing across the area. Wind will be switching to the southwest around 10 to 20 miles per hour, and we'll see the wind lightening up and the rain will taper off through the overnight hours. We'll drop down to a low in the mid-40s and warm back to the lower 50s for your Friday. Partly sunny with a few scattered showers through the morning and early afternoon, then skies go partly cloudy with a northwest wind around 10 to 20 gusting to 35. Lighter wind for your Saturday, still partly sunny out there with high temperatures in the upper 40s with a chance for some patchy frost overnight Friday as well as overnight Saturday.
It could happen to you or someone you love. One moment, one diagnosis can change everything. Thankfully, there's a program that helps caring people uplift families through a crisis. Lend a Hand Up, raising financial help and hope through community benefits and online campaigns. A program that boosts generosity so gifts go further. Lend a Hand Up helps you help your neighbors. Learn more and give at lendahandup.org.
Welcome back to the Night Review and tonight's one-on-one conversation. A new survey finds people are badly misinformed when it comes to the actual number of violent crimes in which guns are used. The study found the average American voter believes more than 46% of violent crimes involve guns. But the study concludes the true figure is less than 8%. Dr. John Lott Jr. is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, who commissioned the study. I asked Dr. Lott to first define violent crime and then to talk about how and why the study was performed.
Well, violent crime involves murder, rape, robbery, aggravated assaults, crimes where individuals come in contact with the criminal and they're harmed in some way. Property crimes, larceny, things like that are crimes that occur when there's not direct contact between the victim and the criminal. And you listen to any of the news discussions these days, you listen to the Biden administration, and the overwhelming theme that's given out is that violent crime involves guns. If we could only get rid of the guns, you'd end up stopping violent crime. And so we paid for a survey done by McLaughlin and Associates asking people, what percent of violent crime do you think involves guns? And on average, 46%, people thought 46% of violent crime involves guns. And that's not even remotely close to what the actual numbers are. The actual numbers is less than 8% of violent crime involves guns. But, so even if the types of proposals that Biden's putting forward could somehow magically cause all violent crimes involving guns to disappear, you'd still have over 92% of violent crimes would still be there. And my own belief is a lot of his proposals are actually going to be counterproductive, but that's kind of a different issue to talk about.
The survey also found that those who had the incorrect perception that nearly half of all violent crimes involved guns are also the respondents who most heavily favored gun control as part of an effort aimed at reducing violent crime. Can you elaborate on that?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not too surprising. The ones who thought that guns were most likely used frequently in violent crimes were the ones who thought the solution to reducing violent crime was to get rid of the guns.
So were you in any way surprised by the results of the study?
Well, I mean, I guess I was disappointed how kind of miseducated people are about the issue. But I can't say I was surprised, given that so much of the news coverage and you look at Biden's speeches that he's been giving on guns and violent crime. He's given 4 major addresses. They've all really just focused on guns. Even literally the few times that he's mentioned police, it's been in connection with police enforcing gun control laws. And so I'm not particularly surprised. What you find is that Democrats tend to be much more likely to believe that there are very high percentages of violent crimes involving guns. And they're also much more likely to think the solution is to go and have some type of strict gun control or banning guns.
I'd like to thank Dr. John Lott Jr., president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, for joining me for tonight's one-on-one conversation. Dr. Lott says the data they analyzed from 2020 showed the number of crimes in which guns were used actually dropped by 27%. Well, that will do it for this Thursday night, May 19th, 2022. I'm Tom Tucker. Thanks for watching the Nightly Review.